Welcome to Dune Spice Wars. My name is Nilaus and I want to make some Let's Play videos on guides on Dune Spice Wars for you. But before I can do that, I need to sort of have a separate video that explains all the mechanics and resources, and this is the video. So if you are into this game, if you're interested, maybe you bought it, maybe it's something confusing, and you kind of stumble across all the ideas about what is spice and what is Solari and what is authority or Plascrete and manpower and fuel and water and Landsrad standing and knowledge and influence and intel and all those things and how they interact and how to prioritize them. Well, this is the video for you, so hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to see more Dune Spice Wars here on the channel. Let's start with the most basic things to start with. That is spice. We have spice, it's Dune, so spice is the lifeblood of the planet, and we are collecting it with harvesters, and generally that's how it is going. And what happens with the stuff that we come in, it is the purple part, and it gets into a stockpile. Here is what we get in, and we have this really cool little thing here, where it can either be allocated fully to the stockpile. Now it's all purple, that's stockpiling, or it can be fully converted into money with the Chome network, or different. So what are the different things? How do they work? The stockpile is in order to pay the imperial bribe. Every 25 days the empire comes in and collects a bribe, and it always increases. That's just how bribes work. So we need to make sure that by the end of this 25-minute sequence we will have enough in our stockpile in order to pay the bribe, otherwise bad things happen. So that means you can slide this depending on how much you have, how much of your money or how much of your spice needs to go into the stockpile and how much needs to go into you can use to sell to Chome, which will give you the Solari. Solari together with the authority are basically, I think the best analogy I can give is that Solari is the fuel of your base while authority is your engine size. So no matter how much fuel you have, if you don't have a big enough engine, you can't really get anywhere. Or if you have an engine but no fuel, then you're also not getting anywhere. So they kind of need to go together hand in hand. Solari, we are here in this game. This is very late into the game so that I can really show you the extent of how complicated it gets. Oh, I get attacked, so I'm just going to pause because I don't want to deal with attack sounds while we are describing this. So as you can see here, we have a lot of Solari, we have a good Solari income, and we also have a lot of expenses as well. Basically, Solari is used for pretty much everything you do, and is also used for pretty much every building you have that is building stuff. So you will have each of these have an upkeep, a tiny upkeep, a bit of upkeep, some higher upkeep. Some things are more expensive to upkeep than others. Even if you look at our central building, they have very expensive upkeep, but they also have very big benefits. So you can see that there are a lot of ways that we need to. So we need to make sure that we have the spice to pay the stockpile, or to accrue the stockpile to pay the bribe, and then the rest can go into be sold for the Chome network in order for us to really fuel our base. And it goes into stuff like buying new units, which of course is not going to happen because I have 2 free units. But after that, I will have some units that will cost money to buy, and then also some other resources. So that is how the Solari works. You're going to use it for everything pretty much. So make sure that you stay on top of your Solari production. The authority is another resource that is super important. As I explained it, this is kind of the engine for the whole base. Especially in the beginning, it's really hard to get enough authority because you basically just start with a base of 4. What you can do is you can assign agents to the Arrakis infiltration, and then we'll get you some more. And that's highly recommended because that's really a good way to get even more. And that's really the difficult part, is that it's really difficult to get this up, and you will be constrained with your expansion in the beginning, taking new areas. Every area you want to take has a cost and authority. The further it is away, the more expensive it gets. This one, 261, very expensive. And so you need to make sure that you accrue this, and if you only accrue it by 4 per day, it's going to take a long time for you to even get close locations, and you want to make sure that you spread out your domain before anyone else does the same thing to you. I keep getting attacked. It's kind of annoying, but we'll have to endure this for now. This means authority is super important, especially, as I said, in the early game. So try to focus pretty much everything you can on doing authority. There are some interactions out on the map that can give you some authority. Always do that. There are some Landsrad councils that can give you authority. I would highly recommend that. There is a building here. It is called the Administrative Vault. It gives you 30% authority. I recommend that one as one of the first ones to get if you haven't. because it means that you can expand quicker and more efficiently and then get a bigger empire to work with. So if that was the engine and fuel for your base, then let's talk about the more basic resources: Plascrete, manpower, fuel cells, and water. Those are things that you need, but they are much easier to manage because they can be managed by making buildings in your villages to get more. For example, if we have a good location here, recruitment office gives you manpower, but at the cost of upkeep in terms of Solari and Plascrete. You get the wind trap. Each wind trap gives 3 water for every wind strength, so this one will give 15 water. There's a slight bonus here. And also the Plascrete gives you 30. And of course, if you have like locations such as, where is that? That's a Plascrete location. So in this case, if we have minerals, then we will be producing here 45 instead of 30. So that is worthwhile getting as well. And my take on it is you pretty much need Plascrete in every single building, in every single location, because you're going to need so much Plascrete. And if you have too much, then you can just sell it to someone else because it's really easy to accrue a lot of. So that's that part. And every building requires Plascrete, and also pretty much every building requires Plascrete upkeep. Manpower is used for, well, things that require manpower. So that means if you want to recruit new units, they will both have a manpower cost 20, but they will also have a manpower upkeep of 4. So you can easily get to a position, even if you've stacked up a lot of manpower, that you can buy the units, but by buying the units you will not have any way of accruing new manpower. The other are used for manpower generally is to put it into harvesters. It doesn't have any upkeep, but you just put 50 manpower in here to get 1 more crew in here, depending on research, and you can get up to +4. So that's another use of the manpower. But it's basically mainly used for your military, building your military arms, and also for the Harkonnens to use oppression on villages. The next one is fuel. Fuel is the easiest one, I think. It's only used for airfields, refineries, and ornithopters. That's all that you get it for. And locations such as this have an energy source that's +50 for a fuel cell. So you just slap down a fuel cell factory and get +9 fuel from this location. You really don't need a lot of this. You can see I am producing a total of 57, and we have a base of 10 of those, and then we are consuming it. So that is the easiest one to manage, but again, you don't want to run out, so keep an eye on it. Water is much more important. On a desert world, it's not surprising that water is very important. What we want in terms of water, what are they used for? These attacks. The main parts that you use it for is in case of you want a new village that costs 5 water. You want to have units here. They don't cost water to get, but they reserve water and for upkeep, or they reserve water to get it here. It kind of works more as a continual upkeep than it is a resource, because if a unit dies, you get the water back that you have reserved here. And the last thing is, if you have these sieges out here, then if you want to trade with them, it costs you 10 water. So those are the main ways to use it. So sieges for army maintenance and for claiming more villages. Those are the basic resources. Let's move into the more, let's say, esoteric resources. They are the ones located over here. We'll start with knowledge. That's pretty easy. We'll go in here and pause the game. Knowledge is used to get new tech, and as you progress the game, tech will become more expensive, so it's very, very difficult to get all of them. This is very far into the game, and we are also just having pretty much all of the tech available. It is a number here that how much tech you get per day, and each of these techs will have a base value, and then it'll be increasing depending on how many previous techs you've done. So even something that is pretty cheap is now 39 days to discover, while something that's down here would be up to 92 days to discover that. So that's 3 full months just to get a single tech. So the late game, it's very rare to get the techs, but in the early game, you can get it. So that's on the knowledge side. The next one is the influence, as well as the Landsrad standing. Landsrad standing is used for voting in the Landsrad council. Each month, I think, you get 3 options here, and you vote for them with your Landsrad standing. Landsrad standing will give you some fixed votes. In this case, we have 50 fixed votes, so every time we can use 50 votes. But I can also use my expended influence. The influence has to be regained in order to get more. And there are different ways of gaining this. I am gaining quite a lot because as a smuggler we have a lot of influence, but that's depending on how you want to do it. And let's see, basically if we look at it, some units, very few, the Landsrad, we have a maintenance of influence, but generally you accrue this and then you spend it. You can't really spend it on many things. You can primarily spend it on swaying the vote of the Landsrad. So that's how it works. The Landsrad standing gives you votes, fixed votes, and then on top of that you get the influence that you can then expend. The last of the special resources is in here on the espionage, and that is the intel. Intel is, as you can see here, there's no upkeep on intel. You can get it from various sources. You can get it from, if we take these two out of here, you can get intel production. One of these agents will produce 1 intel. That's what you see here. I have +6 from agents. If you want more intel, you can assign them to one of your enemies. That will give 5 intel for each. It's actually going to give more. No, it gives 5. The other one is because they have their stats there. So you can go in here as well. And that gives me suddenly a lot more intel. So if you need intel, you can assign them here, and that's a good way to do it. Generally, I'm not that favorite on this, but it works really well if you want intel. And so what is intel used for? Intel is used for missions. Generally, that's what you use it for. Missions are things that you complete a mission that takes a time for a progress bar to fill up. And then once you have it, you have some operations here. Those operations you can use. This one, for example, converts money into a hegemony that is just victory points. And at this point, I can only have 3, so that means I could start a new one. They are pretty good in terms of sort of swaying the course of the battle. For example, the best one I feel is the supply drop, which increases supply and also heals your units, so it'll really top them up in combat. But there are lots of different ones. They get more expensive. They also have requirements in terms of how much you need to have in terms of infiltration for the Arrakis, for Space Guild, for Chom, or for Landsrad, and the number of units will just get you up to that level over time, and it won't be getting you any further than that. So if I wanted more, then I'd have to do that. So for example, this one is requiring, what is that? 2 Arrakis and 2 Chom and 1 Landsrad. In order to have that, and then I could research it, it costs 400 gold and 400 influence. Once we have that, we can do it, and that will be, it's like making a village go into rebellion. Really, really annoying when they use it against us, so let's use it against someone else. And that's basically, you have it, and then you have these kind of things that you can use as spells on the battlefield to sway it to, yeah, poison the reserves, the gear sabotage, supply drops, ceasefires, or in this case, crowd manipulation. So that's how it works. It's something that you can live without it, but it adds another dimension to your battles. So that is pretty much an explanation of all of the resources that you need to manage. And one of the cool parts about this game is that you always sort of have to keep an eye on it, and then you will be in a deficit of one thing or have a surplus, and then you'll need to manage all the resources while trying to expand and to work on your base as well. So it's super advanced, but once you get into the feel of it, then you're ready to watch my Let's Plays, and that's exactly what's going to be in the next video. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing. I'll be releasing more Dune Spice Wars, and I hope it's something that will be of interest to the community at large here. I am thoroughly enjoying this game, although it has some frustrating moments, granted, but it's really fun. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care, and as always, stay effective.